You think this administration is going to be able to do martial law well? You guys think like soldiers are going to be like, ah, yes, these guys know what they're doing. These guys definitely have our backs. We're going to be protected from any kind of enemy intelligence apparatuses, getting our weaknesses. No, no, this is one of the biggest fuck ups in U.S. history right here. This is one of the biggest, like, operational security fails of all time. This is literally unbelievable. The level of ineptitude from every single person in this group chat. And that includes the vice president. OPSEC status clear. There is no trust in the administration. Exactly. So what I'm trying to really convey to you guys is that I don't think, like, when the chips are down, I don't think people got their backs. One-eyed heathen, thank you for the $5 dono.
Discussion about the denazification of the U.S. Grandma and Grandpa are spinning in their graves.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. It's unbelievable. All right. Let's actually jump into this segment, though. Because, as many of you know, we are now in an era where literally the most incompetent people you've ever imagined are in positions of power. You know, we have a headline like this, where our national security leadership included a journalist in operational planning for a bombing campaign of Yemen. And like, this is, I mean, it's hard to really overstate how incredibly awful this is, because when we're talking about this, we're talking about like half the cabinet, half of Donald Trump's cabinet is involved in this. You have different factions within Trump's cabinet making their arguments. You've got J.D. Vance saying like, oh man, this plan is pretty inconsistent with what the president has been saying publicly, though. And, you know, you've got Miller, whatever his face is, that evil egg looking guy, saying, well, the president ordered it, so we must make it so, essentially. And like, one of the other aspects of this, guys, is that there was an undercover CIA agent in this text chain. Someone active in the CIA, actively like getting intel, and actively at risk by being exposed to a journalist like this. This is literally putting our like soldiers, spies in danger. And like, I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of like spies or whatever, but like, when we're talking about like a superpower, we're talking like all kinds of vulnerabilities that can affect us. You know, it can it can screw us over. It can get innocent people killed. And it's, I mean, it's frankly insane. And for reasons that will become clear later on, something very funny happened as a result of this leak coming to light. And that is that We Are Oversight sued the Trump administration over this SignalGate, you know, security breach, excuse me. And that suit is now going in front of one Judge Boasberg. And if you know that name, you know why it's funny, because Judge Boasberg is also the judge presiding over the Alien Enemies Act case that is currently, it's related to the deportation of immigrants into the Venezuelan concentration camp. You know, so that's where we're at, and Judge Boasberg is not sympathetic to the Trump administration at all. At all. Additionally, something wild here is that, well, frankly, this is all, it's all so much. This is Donald Trump being confronted. The other day, I showed you a clip of Donald Trump basically just saying, like, I didn't know anything about this Signal chat. And it's like, you didn't know anything about your highest level national security folks planning an attack on Yemen? You didn't know anything about that. How is that not one of the largest abdications of responsibility on the part of a president in living memory? Are you kidding me? You're the commander-in-chief, for Christ's sake. And you're saying you didn't know anything about it? That's either complete and total horseshit, or he's just completely out of the loop. You know? And is basically abdicating his responsibility as commander-in-chief. But let's see what he had to say today.
Is it possible that there could be a firing of even a lower mid-level official once that person is identified?
About what?
About the Signal chat that we've been discussing.
We've pretty much looked into it. It's pretty simple, to be honest. It's not. It's just something that can happen. It can happen. You can even prepare for it. It can happen. Sometimes people are hooked in, and you don't know they're hooked in. They're hooked into your line, and they don't even mean bad by it.
Is it possible that there could be a...
Yeah, just real quick. Sometimes it happens is not an acceptable response for adding like an unvetted person into a secure communication channel. Not only that, guys, but none of these people were using Signal on their computers, on their secured work computers. They were using Signal on their phones. And one of the number one things if you are someone, if you're an official who gets high enough in that in like politics, you operate under the assumption that your phone is compromised by foreign powers, that your phone is being spied upon by forces outside of our country, looking to get dirt on you, looking to get leverage on you, looking to get state secrets from you. You are supposed to assume that that is what is going to happen. Signal may be fine for your average run-of-the-mill like person who wants to have encrypted communications. It is not, in fact, okay or acceptable or secure for people who are in charge of America, the target of literally all hackers in the world. You know, this is not at all acceptable. And saying, oh yeah, we looked into it, but like it's just a little thing, you know, it's just something that happens sometimes. No, it's fucking not. It's not something that just happens sometimes. We don't have people in our military texting each other on Signal about nuclear codes. You know, like we don't have that happening. We actually have secure facilities for the transmission of information like that. Like we have security measures in place. And it is absolutely unthinkably awful here. Additionally, folks, there's been a lot of fallout from this. And normally I would want to watch the entire Senate hearings on this because it's that level of important. We have a lot to get to tonight. So I don't think we can. Maybe we'll do it in the future. But frankly, when we're talking about this, well, but my goggles, the issue is you have people leaking on Discord to win arguments. Those people get helicoptered to a CIA black site and interrogated and disappeared for 7 months. That's what happens to those people. It's not the fucking defense secretary doing it, And it's bizarre. Here is Law Dork really breaking it down pretty well here. Jeffrey Goldberg's story in The Atlantic of being accidentally added to a Signal group chat of President Donald Trump's top national security advisors, including several cabinet secretaries, in the run-up to this month's military bombing in Yemen on March 15th was damning. First, there was carelessness. Second, there was lawlessness. Third, there was callousness. Fourth, and following the publication of the story, there was the deception, if not outright lies. And finally, there was the attack on Goldberg. Many members of the Trump administration do not seem to care about the law and appear eager to find ways around it. In doing so, however, this group apparently forgot the number one rule of such wrongdoing. Make sure there's not a reporter in the room. Because, yeah, guys, the reason they're using Signal is so that they can communicate these secrets to people who have not been vetted. Additional reason that you would use Signal is so that you can set it to auto-delete messages so that you can circumvent Records Acts that are designed to have a record of what the government does. And so this is already super illegal in terms of just what they were doing, even if you presume complete security, right? But then the security was not complete, which indicates they ignored a number of different legally binding responsibilities they have to maintaining the integrity of this information, okay? All right? And then they lied under oath. During these Senate hearings, they lied repeatedly about all of this. Okay? Yeah. This is going to become relevant later, so let's hold on to this information as well. Hours after Goldberg reported Monday that Secretary of State Marco Rubio's messages were apparently among those sent in the group chat without his having realized that a reporter was in the chat, Rubio submitted a declaration backing the administration's decision to invoke the state secrets privilege in the case challenging Trump's use of the AEA to deport Venezuelans with no notice or process to a prison in El Salvador. Literally, the argument that Marco Rubio put into writing in court was that, yes, we have things that are too secret to tell you, Judge, too secret for anyone to know about. Meanwhile, we have actual top secret information being shared openly by Marco Rubio via unsecured channels. This is damning revelations for all these other cases that are currently in process. It's, I mean, there's really no words for it. There's no precedent for it. Here is, let's take a look at Mike Waltz, because basically throughout the day, the other day, finger pointing started, and all of the fingers wound up pointing to one Mike Waltz. In fact, the congressman who vacated his seat in Florida's 6th congressional district and left it vulnerable to a Democratic challenger Joshua Wheel, and I'm going to tell you all now, you better go volunteer to phone bank for him. Okay, we got like 5 days until his election. He's within the polling margin of error. Let's go. All right. But let's take a look at what Mike Waltz has to say.
Joining us now, one of the principals who was on that Signal chat, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Advisor Waltz, thank you for joining us tonight. The president expressed complete confidence in you today and his entire cabinet. But how did a Trump-hating editor of The Atlantic end up on your Signal chat?
You know, Laura, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but of all the people out there, somehow this guy who has lied about the president, who has lied to Gold Star families, lied to their attorneys, and gone to Russia hoax, gone to just all kinds of links.
All kinds of lies.
To lie and smear the president of the United States, and he's the one that somehow gets on somebody's contact and then gets sucked into this group.
Is someone in your intel? Is someone in your intel team trying to cause trouble here? Because that's the scuttlebutt out there.
Look,
that
we have people. No, look, this is a great group. The president has a great team. This is not first term.
No, your team. I'm not talking about the other principals.
No. These were principals and a couple of staff that were coordinating, as you saw, having a policy discussion as we went forward, and then just in the days before what was an incredible strike. Not only did we take out people that the Biden team never could, that we took out headquarters.
So just as an FYI, we now have a much more complete record of the texts from that Signal chain. And, he's trying to say, I'm not prone to conspiracism, but conspiracy. There's a screenshot from the Signal chat of Mike Waltz adding him to the Signal chat. On the screen, it says Mike Waltz has added you to, the group, the chat. Like, it's not, you did it, sir. The dastardly journalist did not manipulate you into adding him to the Signal chat with his hypnosis abilities or something.
Missile caches, and actually one of the leaders of the Houthi organization. We've since taken out several since. And, that's what they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the success here. They don't want to talk about the hostages getting released. They don't want to talk about the Black Sea ceasefire that we just put in place today as the president ends the largest land war in Europe, or the border, or the fact that Panama just kicked China out of the canal, and success after success after success. So they want to focus on this. It's embarrassing, right. Yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened. But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't.
I know him in a lot of different ways. In fact, so much so that I would have his number to add to a Signal chat in the first place.
Text him. He wasn't on my phone, and we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know what staffer is responsible for this right now?
Well, look.
Oh, man. Laura Ingraham trying desperately to throw him like some kind of rope that he can save himself with. You don't know what staffer is responsible for this, and we all fucking know it wasn't a staffer who added him to the Signal chat.
Staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is.
It sounds like you shouldn't be doing the job you're doing then.
To make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the number? I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody.
The fact that they're trying to downplay this, it's just a simple cell phone mistake, and it's like. We've had phone numbers for a long time, right? Yeah, people make mistakes calling phone numbers. People do that. We're not talking about people, though. We're talking about the head of our national security. fucking up the most basic security functions.
Else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now, whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
So your staffer did not put his...
Someone hacked into my Signal. Yeah, it was dastardly. I did have his number though, but he must have hacked into my phone to add his chat to the Signal. Yeah.
His contact information.
No,
but how did it end up in your
well, that's
phone?
what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, but that's a pretty big problem.
That is what that's what we've got the best technical minds, right?
That's disturbing.
And that's where, I mean, I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where
we're talking about literal like top secret information. We're talking about like something that when Chelsea Manning like shared this level of classified information, she was sentenced to 35 years in military prison. Like we're talking about a lot of like big deal. Like this is a big deal. This is not like you texted Dave when you meant to text Mindy. Oh no, you were trying to send like a saucy text to Mindy, but you sent it to Dave. Oh no, how embarrassing. Now Dave knows you want to lick Mindy's toes. No!
Oops. I made a little bit of a fucky-wucky and sent national security information on an open platform to someone with no security clearance.
But have you considered that person with no security clearance was a birthday boy who deserved top secret intel? Have you considered that? Thank you for the $5 dono. We're up to 44. Let's go, folks.
it was said one person and then a different phone number.
But you've never talked to him before, so how's the number on your phone? I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's just curious. How's the number on your phone?
Well, if you
Man, when Laura Ingraham is asking literally the most basic questions and it kind of has you over a barrel, that's pretty damning.
You have somebody else's contact, and then then somehow it gets
someone
sucked
sent
in.
you that
it gets
contact.
sucked in.
Was there someone else supposed to be on the chat that wasn't on the chat that you thought was on the chat?
So the person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this
Who
guy.
was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, okay. Laura, I take responsibility. I built the group.
Okay.
So but look, that's the part that we have to figure out, and that's the part that embarrassing, yes, but Pete and I are veterans. We know these operations. He has been an excellent Secretary of Defense.
We know these operations. Bitch, if you knew these operations, you'd take OPSEC seriously. Like, holy shit, dude. Sloppy OPSEC gets people killed. It gets people killed. Yeah, just the finest alcoholic veterans.
And this was an operation that, I mean, it amazes me. I guess the Democrats were fine to leave all the sea lanes shut down. We're fine to have destroyers fired on.
By the way, trying to have this high-minded approach here, like this idea, like, oh, the Democrats were fine with all of this. Literally, we have the texts, moron. We have your comments in there complaining about, oh man, we have to bail out Europe again. Oh, little Europe. We have, only 3% of our trade goes through the Suez Canal. Oh, here we are bailing out Europe again. Like, you can't play this card when we have the text chain.
Of times by this terrorist group, and fine to have Iran keep supplying them missiles. That was okay. The president takes decisive action. And now we're seeing some real success in taking down their air defenses, opening the sea lanes, taking out their leadership.
Riverboat Jack has received an invite from M. Wolfs to join new super secret leak free small group for invasion of Greenland. Except, yes, no?
Yes, of course. Thank you for the $5 dono as well, M. Waltz.
But we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about this.
Now, the Atlantic told us in part that attempts to disparage and discredit us and our reporting follow an obvious playbook by elected officials and others in power who are hostile to journalists and First Amendment rights of all Americans. They're saying, don't blame the messenger. Your response to them?
Lied about Russia, lied about Gold Star families.
Wait, but you're like, the thing that he is so bizarre here, like, dog, you're trying to say like this journalist is a liar, but you're also saying you take full responsibility. So like, you acknowledge that the reporting is accurate. So like, it doesn't land when the reporting is accurate and you're just be like, yeah, but he's a liar though. You can't admit that the reporting is true and also call the reporter a liar. Pick a goddamn lane.
Lied about even as last year in terms of the president paying for the family of a Gold Star family that he absolutely did. I mean, lie after lie after lie.
Have they ever apologized for any of that?
No. I mean, this is... Do we care about the mainstream media? Do we care about the Atlantic?
Have they apologized for all of those lies? Have you lost your job for leaking top secret information? Like, on the one hand, you have a journalist telling lies, which is bad. Even if we take this at face value, we've got a journalist telling lies. Dang, that sucks. On the other hand, we have a person literally putting service members' lives in danger because they didn't want to use secured computers in a secured environment to communicate. And because they wanted to circumvent record laws. Like, I don't know. I think one of them is worse. One of them is trying to perpetrate a crime against the American public. And it's this guy, not the journalist.
What I care about is staying focused on mission, accomplishing the president's agenda, getting these things done, cleaning.
Does staying focused on mission include having good operational security?
Up the Biden messes from Afghanistan to Ukraine to the Houthis to the border to China all over South America to the Arctic where we're completely exposed.
Obviously, that man is a lying liar who lies and deceives and lies. But if it was true, President Trump had nothing to do with it, and it's perfectly legal and good that it happened, except the lying.
Honestly, that is the tack here. That's what they're trying to put. It's insane. But like, not only that, this attempted deflection to talking about how we are vulnerable in the Arctic so that they can like warmonger against Canada and Greenland is fucking insane. Especially when literally we have had like 70 years of planning Arctic combat operations. Like, we're not openly exposed to shit. We literally have had battle plans on the books for almost a century to account for that. And, you know, that might be relevant to his attempted deflections. However, as we all know, if he was aware of those plans, they would immediately leak in the Signal chat. God.
To NATO that's not paying up, and the president has had success after success.
Well,
he's got a fantastic national security team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just stunning how many people on the team have his 100% trust, and there have been enormous...
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, it's almost like everyone has 100% of his trust at all times because all that matters is loyalty to him and not actually whether they're good at their jobs. You know, kind of how a cult works.
Successes early on in this administration, but you all are rattling the old cages of the establishment, defense and national security, embedded people who are still working in government, a lot of great people. But the concern is that somebody got involved here who didn't want the president to be successful. And a lot of us are very concerned about that someone is in this orbit who doesn't want this president of the United States to be a raging success and turn our foreign policy into an America first approach.
Look, we made a mistake. We're moving forward, and we're going to.
Oh, did you make a mistake? What was the mistake? Are you saying like that journalist was lying about this mistake that did happen or didn't happen? I'm sketchy on it.
Continue to knock it out of the park for this president. Look at what he's gotten done in under 2 months. And I didn't even get going on the economy, on trade, or all of those other pieces.
And April 2nd's coming. The DNI,
Liberation Day.
The DNI was.
He has literally never heard of the Third Fleet. It has 5 aircraft carriers, and part of its job is to defend the Arctic Ocean. Ah, indeed, Bastion. Indeed. It's almost like we've been in a Cold War for half a century and dedicated an enormous amount of resources to building up a defensive situation between us and Russia in the Arctic. It's almost like that, in fact.
Very adamant today and very clear that there was no classified information in this text chat. And the Democrats, of course, are predictably, they're going to jump on this. But
yeah, predictably, the Democrats are going to jump on this wiretapping nonsense, and oh God, it's so stupid, and yet it's so important and so bad. Like it'd be so funny if it wasn't something that actually put everyone's lives at risk.
should Goldberg just release the other information that he has? Because he's standing on this, well, I'm not going to release this information because I have my standards and journalistic standards. Okay, but it's not classified information, so does it matter? Would you care if the rest of this information came out?
Look, I mean, I would prefer, certainly, as the president was saying today, if we could all sit in a steel-lined lead room and have all of these conversations. I certainly want our deliberations to stay confidential. This was an encrypted.
I'm sorry.
These conversations all sit in a steel-lined. I would prefer, certainly, as the president was saying today, if we could all sit in a steel-lined lead room and have all of these conversations. I certainly want our deliberations to stay confidential. This was an encrypted app.
You have SCIFs. You have those. You have secure facilities where you can sit down and have those conversations. You have those. Why are you talking like those don't exist? Additionally, like, it may be an encrypted app, but at no point, from everything I have read, from everything I have consumed about security in the US government and protocols, Signal is not a reliable security app for these high-level talks. For this type of secret information, absolutely woefully insufficient. SCIFs have existed since the early 60s. Literally for 60 years. We've had the technology. We've had the ability to do what he's talking about.
That the CIA had on sitting there as John Ratcliffe was confirmed and walked into the building from the prior administration. It's on other agency apps. And
it is not. It is not. To the extent that this is something that is used in the workplace, it is not supposed to be. That is, in fact, wrong.
You have SCIFS, you fucking thumb. Source. Me. I was in one as my job. Anyway, Jack, you looking batty as hell tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for the $5 dono as well. We are up to 47 out of 60. You guys, getting close. Getting close. there's just so much bullshit here. Do not let anyone gaslight you into thinking this is not a big deal. This is a scandal that at bare minimum, everyone who is in this chat should lose their job. And not only that, this should be like an impeachment level scandal for Donald Trump. The fact that he's trying to plead ignorance of it, the fact that he's trying to say, oh, I had nothing to do with planning an engagement with a foreign power is insane. That is an abdication of responsibility that in normal times would be impeachment. He would have resigned by now in normal times.
So, no, of course I don't want it all out there because these were conversations back and forth that you should be able to.
That's really funny because Tulsi Gabbard under oath said none of this information was classified. So, like, which is it? Is it classified info, or should all of it be released? You can't have it both ways.
Have confidentially, but what you also saw was a healthy policy debate in how we were going to achieve this for the president. What would
it was them gloating over killing 50 civilians. That's what was in this chat.
Be the results? What should be the timeline? And I think, again, I am fortunate to work for this president. I am fortunate to help him execute this vision, and incredibly fortunate to have this team around him.
But there's no classified information in this exchange.
No classified information.
But you
now, this is something that we in the business call a lie. And for very obvious reasons, it's a lie. Here's a great example put together by a Blue Sky account called Secrets and Laws. On the left is Pete Hegseth's message. On the right, the applicable CENTCOM classification guide provisions. This is all very plainly classified at the secret level. They all lied. They should all lose their jobs. On the left, team update. Time now, 11:44 Eastern Time. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are a go for mission launch. 12:15 Eastern Time, F-18's launch, first strike package. 13:45, trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch, MQ-9s. 14:10, more F-18s launch, second strike package. 14:15, strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop, pending earlier trigger-based targets. 15:36, F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. More to follow per timeline. We are currently clean on OPSEC. Godspeed to our warriors. And just interesting, what is CENTCOM? What is this? What's all this? Date and time, mission operation begins. Timelines and schedules. Concept of operations, including order of battle, execution circumstances, operating locations, resources required, tactical maneuvers, deployments, action, and objectives. These are things that are classified. Every single person here claiming that this is not classified information is lying. They are a liar. They need to lose their jobs. What we're looking at is every member of this Signal chat perjuring themselves when questioned by the Senate. This is a scandal where these people should be gone. I cannot emphasize that enough. Throw them all in prison? Absolutely. God. If this stupidity causes huge headaches for Donald, all the better. He's old and he'll surely slip up. I mean, dog, even his younger folks are slipping up. Also, Secrets and Laws continues, as Brad Mosesk points out. Oh. Got a little technical snafu here. Please forgive me. Got a little situation in my computer case at the moment. Don't worry, it's taken care of. Whew. Sorry, I just got distracted. There we go. Ha ha ha. This message from Walls reveals that the USG had real-time coverage of one of the targets at a very specific time, walking into girlfriend's house. If this came from an IC asset, this would be classified at the secret or top secret level per the ODNI classification guide. Typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy, we had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and it's now collapsed. And it's like, they're literally chatting amongst themselves about killing civilians, right? Like you're exploding an entire building in order to kill this one guy. I'm assuming that his girlfriend was not, in fact, the number 2 missile guy. I'm guessing. Yeah, ODNI is the Director of National Intelligence. Office of the Director of National Intelligence, sorry. But yeah, information describing or derived from a U.S. or foreign collection system program requirement or R&D effort where disclosure would hinder U.S. collection. Information describing or derived from a U.S. or foreign collection system program requirement or R&D effort where disclosure would lessen U.S. intelligence or collection advantage. Information describing or derived from a U.S. or foreign collection system program requirement or R&D effort where disclosure would reveal specific U.S. or foreign collection capacity, interest, or vulnerability. And as you can see, secret, secret, or top secret, respectively. It really do be that bad, folks. It really do be that bad.
You'd prefer it not to be out.
Of course. That'd be, do you want everything?
Yeah, no, well, right. I don't work for the government. I mean, this is why these. Right. That's why texting in general is, in government situations. Again,
as
difficult.
The president said, if we could all stay in the same room, but when we've got
he's always been
people
like
moving, right? As he said again today, I mean, that would be his preference. I think all of our preference. But when he has people all over the world and we're coordinating these complex operations, we're moving at Trump speed. Fast. Doing all of this. We're cleaning up. I mean, we're doing 5 or 6 legacy-defining things in the first month. And we're cleaning up multiple Biden messes from the Middle East to Europe to the mess of our border all at once at the same time.
You don't need any distractions. You don't need any side stories or distractions.
Yep.
And I think people are watching this. Most Americans don't. They want the answers, the bottom line.
Yep.
You know, about Russia, about Ukraine, about China. But they read stuff like, oh, wait, there was a 2023 DOD memo that said you shouldn't use Signal. And yet you hear Ratcliffe today saying, well, it was commonly used. So doesn't there need to be a standard across the board?
Absolutely.
Just don't use.
Also, again, there's a difference between Signal, perhaps, and I'm just throwing this out there. Perhaps there's a difference between Signal on secured work computers versus Signal on unsecured personal cell phones. Just throwing that out there. Throwing that out there.
Use any of these apps?
Yeah, these people are trying to hide all evidence because, you know, if they're doing this thing where they're hiding their messages from the legal requirement to report and document and, you know, report and document their dealings while in an official capacity, like, they're not just doing it this one time. They are hiding other shit. They are doing other crimes. This is not the only time they've done this.
Apps, but then how do you communicate when you're not in a skiff?
Well, and that's what you heard. That's what you heard Elon talking about, kind of the mess that is government communications. I could tell you, members of that team, I've been very frustrated about, the quality of our communications. We are working to address that. So one of the things that Doge is doing is improving our IT, is improving our ability to communicate. And to the extent we get everybody in the same room, always better.
Yeah, it's always better. But you've never met Goldberg. He's out there saying you guys have met in the past, but you've never met him. No
idea. Wouldn't know him if I bumped into him, if I saw him in a police lineup. Do now. Knew him by reputation about lying about the president over and over again. What I can tell you for certain, certainly wasn't reaching out or talking to him at all. Why would I?
Yeah, well, he's been one of the most vociferous, vituperative so-called journalists out there in the Atlantic.
Well, near and dear to my heart is a veteran.
Yeah, these guys love journalists.
Veteran is lying about Gold Star families who love this president, veterans who love this president, and are
Bitch, you don't care about veterans? You don't care about active duty soldiers. The entire point of operational security is to protect their lives. If you gave a shit about it, you wouldn't have had that bad of OPSEC. And you know what? If you gave a shit about veterans, you would not be supporting an administration that is cutting like 83,000 jobs in the VA. Don't bullshit about caring about active duty or veterans in this country.
Thanking God he's president and commander-in-chief once again. And then you have a defense secretary who this morning I was talking to is working out with the Navy SEALs out in Honolulu, leading, improving morale, improving recruiting, improving lethality, and working with...
Man, it sounds like he's doing absolutely nothing. Like he's out there working with Navy SEALs. Who gives a shit? I don't care if the defense secretary is working out with people in the military. That seems weird, in fact. Like, shouldn't he have more important things to do than like doing push-ups with the boys? What are you doing?
Doge to improve efficiency and get our warfighters back to meritocracy mission focus. I mean, again, Laura, this team believes in this president. This team likes each other, knows each other, is working. Was there a mistake? Absolutely. We're going to improve it. We're going to fix it. And we're going to move forward to achieve the president's agenda.
Why was Bessent on this text chain? I was curious about that. There's just like little things like, why would Scott Bessent?
Because you have a sanctions regime. This is, again, right? You had Biden just literally, they would swarm our destroyers with drones, cruise missiles, UAVs.
Oh, larceny.
Love you, Jack. Thank you for all you do. I tried to not interrupt.
That's okay. Thank you for the $20 super chat. That is incredibly generous. And thank you for it being your first one in chat. I really, really appreciate it.
At first, he would allow him to just shoot him down, then pinprick attack, then 4 months would go by, shut down shipping. 75% of global commerce is getting rerouted. The world owes the president a favor, or excuse me, a thank you.
I think that was a bit of a Freudian slip there. What an interesting thing to say, my guy. The world owes him a favor. I mean, a thank you. I think you might be talking about like a quid pro quo situation here.
Whoopsie.
Like, you know, uh, you know, I sucked your dick, now you have to suck mine kind of situation, except you haven't taken into account that the rest of the world is not built for that.
I'm not built to suck your dick.
They aren't built for that. All right? So, this is not going to work out how you think it is, my guy.
For taking this on and fixing this problem, and that is dry up their money, dry up their supply chain from Iran, hold Iran accountable, go after the missiles, go after the leadership. If you're going to move against a terrorist group, you take them out. And that's exactly what this team was doing.
I was actually relieved to see the nature of the...
You know, like, it's kind of crazy to call them a terrorist group when they now control Yemen. You know, like, are they a terrorist group if they're just the government of a country? Like, I don't know about that anymore.
The exchange among you. I mean, it's kind of cool for regular people just to see, okay, how do these decisions get made with the president and the, you know, obviously Miller is representing the president. But actually,
what's the chances? What are the chances of Waltz being out by this time tomorrow? I would say 0, because this interview came out yesterday and he still has his job. So
I thought it was really refreshing to see how you all seem to have mutual respect. No one's like blowing off another person's opinion. And I
whoa. Nobody's blowing off anyone, okay?
I'm not built to suck your dick.
Yeah. All right, we're no blowing anyone. All right,
none of us know anything about how decisions were made in the Biden administration. Nothing.
Well,
or if he was even
or
there.
Who was deciding, not how decisions were made. Who was actually deciding? Because clearly it wasn't him. But you see this healthy back and forth, this respectful back and forth, different points of view. But at the end of the day, we're executing the president's vision, the president's direction, keeping it all coordinating and moving at Trump warp speed to do it all at once. I mean, not only have the media been on their back foot and the Democrats been on their back foot, all of our adversaries are on their back foot in terms of how to respond to him and the pace with which he moves.
Are we going to end this Ukraine war soon?
We just had the next step today. We've had an energy aerial ceasefire.
God, yeah, they're touting this Black Sea ceasefire as like the next big thing, which is just like that is my opinion. That is not going to hold. It is flimsy. There are so many caveats to it. Not going to hold. But there you have it. Now, folks, some interesting things following this this report. Now, you might think, well, this is a guy who very clearly cares about personal and national security, right? Like he cares deeply about security in all things. You know, that was just a one-time little whoopsie doopsie. You know, he's just a little birthday boy. You know, sometimes birthday boys have a little bit of a mistake. And except he had a little bit more than just another mistake here. Here's some reporting by Wired. Mike Waltz left his Venmo friends list public. A Wired review shows National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and other top officials left sensitive information exposed via Venmo until Wired asked about it. These people need to be gone yesterday. It's insane. This leak revealed the names of hundreds of Walz's personal and professional associates, including journalists, military officers, lobbyists, and more. OPSEC, 100% clear. Absolute jokes. Also, just worth mentioning here, you know, in that interview, Mike Waltz talked about how, the CIA had Signal installed in their computers, like everyone's doing it. It's the cool thing to do in there. Everyone's using Signal. Hey, everyone do the Signal dance. Signal, 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 signal. Except that that's not how things are going inside the government, actually. Here is Fred Wellman. He's the host of a show called On Democracy with FP Wellman for Midas Touch. According to a source I have at the CIA, Director Radcliffe lied today under oath. Signal is absolutely not loaded on agency computers. As a matter of fact, it's specifically prohibited as an outside app. Skype is allowed for conference calls, but not Signal. He's lying. And here is the text. I can tell you for a fact, having taken the records management training at the agency, that Signal is absolutely not loaded onto any agency computer. It's not even allowed on our network because it's an outside app. Guys, this is like, I don't know how to really like go deeper on this other than to point out that one last point on this, and this is just how far things have kind of deteriorated here. Hakeem Jeffries is now formally requesting Pete Hegseth's resignation. Dear President Trump, Pete Hegseth is the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in American history. His continued presence in the top position of leadership at the Pentagon threatens the nation's security and puts our brave men and women in uniform throughout the world in danger. The so-called Secretary of Defense recklessly and casually disclosed highly sensitive war plans, including the timing of a pending attack, possible strike targets, and the weapons to be used during an unclassified national security group chat that inexplicably included a reporter. His behavior shocks the conscience, risked American lives, and likely violated the law. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth should be fired immediately. And you know what? Like, when you got Hakeem Jeffries actually doing something, we're in topsy-turvy land. Do you know how badly you have to fuck up for Hakeem Jeffries to feel like it's safe to do something like that? It's insane. That being said, like, I approve of any effort to put more pressure on the Trump administration. I approve of any effort to divert their attention from destroying our democracy and our country and rendering it inoperable, and instead diverting their attention to have to play defense on Fox News. I think that is an inherently good thing.
The Atlantic is doing a great job as compared to other sources.
I mean, let's be fair to the Atlantic here. The Atlantic is a pretty conservative rag. I'm not gonna lie. I deeply dislike a lot of their pieces, but this piece in particular is good. The one thing I would say is that Jeffrey Goldberg did himself and journalism dirty by not staying in that group chat and getting literally everything he could in order to bring down these powerful individuals inside of this. This was a once in a lifetime opportunity to like make your name as a reporter, to make your entire career. You'd be set for life as a journalist. And he instead was just like, oh, I've seen enough, time to get out. And then he left. Well, if he had done that, he might not be sitting free right now. Yeah, but then they'd all have to admit that they what they did really was a huge fuck up, huh? You know? But now they're trying to say it's not classified. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna arrest him over non-classified documents, or admit you're liars? You know, like it's. Yeah, I mean, at this point, we just did a story about how people are being abducted off the streets for writing like inconvenient op-eds in their college newspapers. So like, you know, like any one of us could be got by this administration. Might as well be got for doing something that is devastating to the administration, you know? But yeah, that's the thing, Schmegley, that I don't like Goldberg. Like you are completely correct when you say Goldberg would have approved of these insane war plans if they hadn't literally landed in his lap. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, the good old non-classified direct war plans, indeed. Oh, no, it's okay, Lady Rinclad. You got to get your rest. I know you've been pushing yourself hard. But that brings us to the end of where SignalGate is thus far. My hope is that things continue to escalate in the Senate. I hope that these people get questioned about perjuring themselves. I know Tulsi Gabbard was already questioned, and her response was that she simply forgot, and that's why she answered completely the opposite of what actually happened. So, like, you know, I don't think that's going to hold as an excuse for every single person in that chat, though. So people need to keep asking these good questions about the operational security, man. It's crazy. God. Anyway, end of segment. Stop this insanity. Mobilize. Fight. Do something. I'll post links in the section underneath here. The doobly-doo. I think that's actually the term, doobly-doo. Whatever. Pressing the button.